Hi, hey, it's Dena Tollefson, and welcome to my studio. I am so glad to have you here today with me. Today we'll be painting a really fun subject, some daffodils. And these are daffodils I'll be painting from life, and I welcome you to paint right along with me. I'll be working with this little blue background here. This is actually my husband's shirt that I just really like the color. So I've got this still life set up here. These are two daffodils from my garden. And this small canvas, I started out by just drawing in the composition with just regular pencil and eraser. And prior to that, I had done a couple of little just dynamic sketches of the composition just to kind of plan out what I wanted to do. And oh, hey Siri, I see that you are here. And welcome, Siri. I'm glad to have you here. And anyone, if you are in the chat and you'd like to chat along, that would be fantastic. I'd love to interact with you. If you'd like to be quiet, that works too. And if you're new to my channel, I welcome you. And if you've come back again before, like Siri, I say thank you for being here. So here's a kind of just a little quick sketch, a little action sketch that I did of the daffodils, just to kind of understand their form, that type of thing. And then what I did is, in order to determine how close in or how far away, how large the daffodils should be on the canvas and where they interact with the edges of the canvas, I did a couple of thumbnail sketches. So I started out first with this one, which is having the flowers are kind of in the middle, but they're not really touching the edges so much. And then on this other extreme, the flowers are touching way over on the edges. And I kind of like something in between. So I drew my flowers on the canvas. I like this feeling of them interacting with and allowing some of the color to go off the edge of the canvas. So we'll go with that for a composition. And oh my goodness, hi Ian, good to see you. Ian Jackson is a really excellent artist out of the UK. He does a lot of watercolors. So good to see you, Ian. And so here are the brushes we'll be using today. I've got just a variety, actually I have a big container of them here. These are just kind of smaller brushes since this is a smaller canvas. 1 inch flat brushes. These are American Painter. I've got some filberts, a number 12 filbert. To sign, I'll be using a liner brush. This is a American Painter liner, 4350 liner. And just some different sizes. So I've got 3/4 brushes, all different sizes. And then the paint that we have here, and oh, Lucy, good to see you, and thank you for joining. Lucy just did, Lucy is entering a contest. She does this, she has a new channel, and go check her out if you get a chance to. She's got a really powerful abstract landscape on her channel. So colors today, yellow ochre. So in order to describe the flower, we need to have a variety of different yellows, and of course some blue, and then something to describe the stem. So we've got Indian yellow hue, yellow ochre, ultramarine, French ultramarine blue. These are all from Golden, and diarrhea yellow, and then a Hansa yellow. And I'll show you the palette I've got here, and then we'll get started right away with painting. Well, you're welcome, Lucy. You are really awesome. So there's a quick little view of the palette here. I've got also a Hansa yellow light. We've got some green gold, titanium white, teal, and I think that's it. If there's another one, I'll let you know as we get going. But let's go ahead and just get started now. And I have also just a little bucket of, for water to rinse out the water. It's important to keep super important to keep the paintbrushes really clean as we're working. So I'm just gonna start out with this Hansa yellow light. And typically when I do any painting, I typically tone the entire canvas in yellow ochre, but I'm not going to do that this time because the yellow ochre is very strong, and I am going to be using that in the painting, but I don't want it to overpower this really soft and delicate nature of the daffodils. So I'm going to go ahead and we'll use yellow ochre here today, but it will be only, it'll be in the background and then also in the shadow areas of the flower. So let's go ahead, and I'm just going to, as a base painting, or as a, I guess we could say like a block in. We'll essentially do a block in just in this yellow color here. And oh, Madonna. Hey, good to see you, Madonna. Madonna, your daffodils are likely blooming. So I'm in Iowa, Madonna's in Missouri. So likely your daffodils may have been blooming already, Madonna. That's what I'm guessing, because they're ahead of us a little bit in Missouri. Yeah. Ahead of us horticulturally, stuff will bloom faster or bloom sooner. Ahead in the season. Okay, so let's just get a little bit, we're just gonna establish this Hansa yellow light only where the bloom is, and then we can put in the yellow ochre all around and surrounding around. So write in and tell me what the weather is like by each of you. Say, so other people get to know where you're from and such. Maybe if you're okay with that, put the state or the city and say what the weather is like by you. So I'll start and say, I'm in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and the weather here is really a pretty sunny day. And gosh, I don't know if it's 50 degrees. I'm not sure exactly what temperature. I haven't been outside yet, but it's going to be a really pretty spring day. You can hear my little birds, Grushy and Romeo, back there. All right, so let's just get, and I'm adding just a tiny amount of water onto my brush to make the paint spread a little easier. I want a thick, kind of a relatively thick coat of paint, but I want it to be able to spread also. We're going to be doing some blending and that type of thing. So if you like to paint along with me, I welcome you to paint along with me, and everybody will have their own version, their own interpretation. Even if you're looking at the same subject and painting with the same colors, everybody will have their own way of doing things and their own look. And that's part of, I think part of we as artists, our experience. We bring our experience and our own aesthetic to each painting. Okay, so let me check the chat here. And oh, Sylvia, we should be doing sunflowers, right? For sunflower Sylvia. Sylvia calls me Sunflower Dena, which is a neat name. Okay, so I'm going to check the chat here. And so you're saying, Ian, your daffodils have already gone, and you're in England. And you're in Barnsley, South Yorkshire, England, cool and overcast. And Madonna says, Knobloch, Missouri, sunny, windy, and 50 degrees. Oh my goodness, okay. And Tiffany, Tiffany, hi Tiffany, good to see you. All right, Tiffany, welcome, and let's see. And so Lucy, you're saying you're in Los Angeles, California, and a beautiful week, but a bit cloudy. All right, awesome. Okay, so I'm gonna put, even though we're gonna have blue in the background, I really love the feeling of yellow ochre in all my paintings, and so I did not tone the canvas, meaning I didn't cover the entire thing first with yellow ochre. We're going to go in and layer other colors on top, but I really like the feeling of yellow ochre peeking through. And so in doing that, when we paint with the blue, we'll also let the yellow ochre come through on that as well. All right, let's get right along here. So this part of the flower is called the corona. We have, this particular cultivar, my husband planted these for me, so this is so nice. Every Mother's Day, he gives me a card, and then says that I'll get 100 spring flowering bulbs installed by him in the garden. And he's been doing that now for oh gosh, I'll say at least 2 decades he's been doing that. And we had moved houses and built the house that we're currently in maybe 13 years ago or so. So I had built up all of these spring flowering bulbs at our old place, and then we could start over with a new set. And now we've got enough of them now where they look very pretty in the spring, because it's important to get enough of them so that they look good. But all right, and so just getting this yellow ochre here. And daffodils are, I was reading a little bit about daffodils and was interested to hear that they come from the word, and it sounds, gosh, I should have written it down, but it was something about intoxicated. So the word narcissus is, I want to say Greek. I'm not sure. Maybe somebody, if one of you can maybe look it up, but I wanted to say it was something about narcotic, or meaning intoxicated. There's the plants themselves. This is why our deer don't eat. We don't have any problem of any animals in the garden eating either the flowers or the bulbs, which is nice. So that's why they do really well. We've got a lot of deer here, so nobody's really eating these things. But yeah, if somebody could, maybe somebody in the chat, if you can look that up and let us know. And then there's also the story of Narcissus. One of the stories you learn about in school, where he was looking into a pond. He was very vain and always looking at his reflection, and so the gods got angry at him in this folklore mythology story, and then turned him into the daffodil, or the narcissus, meaning narcissistic. I can't pronounce it, but they have this kind of they're really such pretty flowers. Okay. Oh, and Narcissi is a Greek myth, Sylvia says. Yes. Okay, exactly. All right, Chrissy, hi. Good to see you. And oh, Artsy. Good to see you, Artsy. You guys have not seen Artsy's channel yet. You should definitely, Artsy Studios, definitely go check out. Artsy just did this neat series on taking famous paintings from the old masters and then the process of recreating them. And I'll say that I just watched the premiere when Artsy had a premiere for it, and there was a neat thing of doing Munch's, The Scream. And I've seen that painting so many times, but there was something really neat about seeing it recreated on a video, because the way Artsy was doing the layering, starting at the top of the canvas and then moving forward, I had never really thought that much about the composition on that painting and why it's such a brilliant painting. So, okay, so Madonna says, let me check here, and Narcissus is linked to the Greek word for intoxicated, the myth of a youth who fell in love with his own reflection. Yes, exactly, exactly. So, so now that we have the yellow ochre all over here, and we've got our hands of yellow just laid in, let me go back and just get a little bit more yellow here. But I want to do now is start to describe some of the shadow areas. So we'll do the shadow areas and we'll do the light areas. And also let's go ahead now and just block in. Let's take a little brush here, take a small brush. Let's see, this one here. We'll go with a little number 10 filbert from American Painter. And I have a color here. I've mixed up a color using the primary yellow and the Mars black. Or is it ivory black? It's one of the blacks here. Let's see, I don't recall which black. Okay, and black. We'll just say black. A golden black. And there's a highlight. I can see a highlight right on the flower. I'm going to go ahead and indicate that highlight first. So I'm going to take a little bit of green gold and mix up a highlight color for that. So let's see if we can get right in that. And when I mixed it, I was careful to not, I would normally use a knife, but I'm just going to making a small amount, and I can mix that with my brush. Careful to not get the paint up in the ferrule. But I'll just go ahead and put in the highlight from the stem now. And I can see it over here on this flower as well. And we'll get that part of the flower painted in. Okay, so let's get that just marked in, and now we can go in with the very darkest color. And I just rinsed off the brush with water. And actually, let's go use this color here. But it is important to get your, there's a little bit of dark here. It's important to get your darks dark enough. So we'll do a couple layers. We'll just block in meaning just putting in the initial color, not worrying about highlights and shadows yet. And all of that detail can be added later. But what I'm working for on this painting is I'm hoping to get the general feeling of the flower that it's a daffodil, but also trying to get it a really expressive feeling. So let me check the chat here and see. Okay, so, and you're hooked on green gold now. Oh, and Mushy Bear, hi. Oh, good to see you, Mushy Bear. And, oh, and you love daffodils, Chrissy, they're in your garden. Yes, it's, these came from my garden as well, and I just love this time of year. Okay, so Sylvia, you're saying, Artsy, thank you. And Sylvia, you're saying it's strange because in French, narcissi flower is a white daffodil and yellow one is another name of jonquil. And Ian, you're renaming it Mushy Pea Gold. I love it. I love it. That's great. Yeah, okay, so it is interesting. Now, I've always heard that the colors are all interchangeable, or not the color, the words like daffodil, jonquil, narcissus. I always thought they were interchangeable, but I don't really know. So that's an interesting thing. If we can find that out, that's interesting. I'm going to make sure that we get this stem dark enough. This is going to be the darkest thing in the painting. And I want to make sure that it really reads as a nice dark value. So the painting will be mostly light colors and midtones. And so I want to make sure we get that color in there dark enough. And now just rinsing and coming back in with a clean brush. I'll just lightly blend the area of the highlight in so we get a nice soft edge, because the edge here where the light is hitting, I'm sitting here in my studio's in a north light. And for those of you in the northern hemisphere, that would be north light, and then the equivalent of that in southern hemisphere would be a south light. But it's a thing where we want to make sure that we're capturing the light. This north light is very nice to work in because it'll be like that the whole day. So let's go in now with a little bit of our yellow ochre and start to get a feel for. So I'm using, this is the same yellow ochre that we toned the whole canvas with. But let's start to get a feel for where the lights and the darks are on the flower. Okay, and I see, well, let's see, I see some dark here. And let's get that, I'm just going to tease that color in with the side of the brush just to make sure I don't want to have a hard edge there. There we go. Let's go and get some color in here. And let's get some color here. So I see that there is a dark bit that's coming out here, and I'm just using, again, this larger brush just to kind of get the initial colors blocked in. And then here we have dark here as well. And I hope that you guys are all going to participate in the Green Gold Challenge. Okay, and Ian says they're all part of the family of flowers narcissi. Okay, that's what, that's what I was guessing, but I didn't know that for sure. Thank you for That's good to know. Okay. So, so let's get this color here. So I see that there is, this color actually goes all the way down here. Adding just a little bit of water to my brush just so it flows a little easier. And then here, this whole area is quite dark. In fact, this area down here, this whole thing is dark. So what I'm doing when I'm looking at my flower, I'm looking at it, trying not to look at it and think of it like a flower, but I'm just trying to think of it like different shapes of different colors. And wherever we see the shape, where we're seeing the light hitting and we're seeing the dark hitting, the shadows and the all of these little reflections and such, I want to really, to me, this is this whole idea of the cone shape of the flower and the cup, and this is the corona, and then these 6 petals that sit out around. I want to really kind of get this idea of the three-dimensionality. And okay, and checking the chat, Chrissy, you say that you have some daffodils with orange center. Yeah, I do too. Mine are. These are the first daffodils that we have up in our yard that my husband had planted. This particular one is the King Alfred cultivar, which is a really, really old one, and I wouldn't be surprised if maybe that was even, I don't know if that was even named after King Alfred, and if it was from royalty, I'm not sure, what the name came from. That would be interesting. If anybody knows that, knows the history or can find out the history, let us know. Oh, and thank you for saying that, Tiffany. Thank you. So just working here with these initial colors, and let's get just a little bit of and I'm working again to get a soft edge. Let's just use the yellow ochre and lay in with this big brush. Just go ahead and lay in where the flower has the shadow areas or the darker areas. And I'm being careful to reserve the areas of light that are on the, there's it dips in a little bit here. And I can see over here we've got a dark area too. Right in through here, okay. And now I'm going to just take that and just wiggle the brush to blend those edges a little bit. Okay. All right, so now that we have this, oh, okay, let me check the chat here. Okay, so you're saying that, Madonna, yours have white petals and yellow center. Oh, I don't know. There's so many different cultivars, and they're so, daffodils, they come in such varieties. They're so beautiful. And so Sylvia, you're saying that you like the contrast between yellow ochre and the yellow. And Ian, you've got the same one as Chrissy, it sounds like. Okay, so Lucy, the Green Gold Challenge. What the Green Gold Challenge is this is everybody, I'm organizing this challenge called the Green Gold Challenge, and lots of people that are on the chat here are participating. So here's the color green gold from Golden, and lots of other companies make green gold. Their version of green gold, and some watercolors, you can get a sap green that will read like a green gold. It's basically any bright and strong green, like a bright, fresh, yellowy green. And what we're going to do is on Sunday, May 5th, everybody will upload a video to their own channel, and they're going to be doing their version, any artwork, any style, featuring or highlighting the color green gold. And so you can use, of course, other colors too in your painting. It doesn't have to just be green gold. And then what we'll do is we'll go in and I will make a playlist. So if you have to have yours a little early, that's okay. I'll wait until after the 6th, so you can do it anytime during the day or evening, anytime on the day of the May 5th, or a little earlier if you need to. And then I will go and make a giant playlist. So I modeled this challenge after Eve Harvey Art's Doodle Day, and I did her Doodle Day, and it was a lot of fun. And I actually met some of you through that challenge. And then what we're also doing is extending the challenge to include Twitter and Instagram and basically any other platform that you might use where you can use a hashtag. So that would be, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, that type of thing. And you can, so if you wanted to participate also on that, or just only on those other channels, then you can also just upload your artwork on May 5th and then give it the hashtag Green Gold Challenge. And I have a video, a short little 2-minute video out on my channel that's got all the details of how to participate. And I'm really excited. We have over 40 people who are going to do it. So let me check the chat here. Okay, and oh, and Artsy, you said you missed out on Doodle Day. Well, and, oh my gosh, it's Violet Connie. Hey, Connie, good to see you. Connie is a artist out of Australia, and she makes these handmade paints, these handmade watercolor paints that are really wonderful. And, oh, Nitas Savakunas. Yes, I'm doing live streams, exactly, and it's great to have you here. Thank you for joining. So what I'm doing here is now I'm going over the yellow ochre, which is now dry, and going over just with this color teal, this acrylic, and I'm allowing bits of the yellow ochre to peek through. And just going back over with the brush and filling in our painting here. Connie just did, so Connie, to have her new handmade paints, she did a fairy series, like these little fairy girls, and using her new, so some of the paints are metallic. And if you haven't checked out her video yet for that, definitely do. But they're very pretty. All right, so I'm getting right up close here, and I'm just using the same 1-inch brush to get into the angles of all around the little crevices of the painting. And once in a while I'm dipping my brush into the water. Okay, oh, and Tiana, good to see you. And Tiana, I hope that you were on a live stream before and you had a big interview, and I hope that that went well. So hopefully that's the reason why you have to leave. But and if not, if it didn't, then I know that you will have luck with that soon. I know it will work out for you. All right, so let's get a little of the teal right up on here. I'm just going in and covering all of the areas here. Oh, okay, so Nitas, you're asking, let me check the chat here, and you're saying you're near a store, supermarket, wondering how to get a yellowish gold acrylic paint for yourself. Yeah, okay, so you can buy, absolutely. You know what you can do is you can get yellow and black and mix yellow and black together, a tiny amount of black in with your yellow, and that will make a green gold. So you can get a color called actually green gold, or you can mix your own. And what is also kind of neat is to have a variety of colors too. So you want to make sure to have that light green gold color featured in your video or featured in your thing. For those of you who know Caitlin Marie, she does makeup tutorials, and she's out of Australia, and Caitlin Marie is doing performance art with green gold. She's doing a makeup tutorial using the color green gold as makeup, which I think is really pretty neat. So, oh, and hey, Draws Tonight. Oh my gosh, Draws Tonight has a fantastic channel. Draws Tonight, this is actually Joseph is Draws Tonight's name. And Joseph does these incredible three-dimensional, a lot of Spider-Man kind of things. But just did Spider-Man with this kind of like a suit that was, I don't know if the word, how to describe the word, like a, like a glittering suit, essentially. All right, so let's go in now, and I'm looking at the flower. I see that we have these edges where the petal comes in, so I'm going to try and describe this here by just carving a negative space, carving the paint in and out with the brush. And we can do that a little bit here too. And I'm just leaving this loose and expressive over here. I'm going to try not to make too tight of a painting. I want it to be kind of loose and free. And so thank you, Joseph, Draws Tonight. Okay, Anita, you're saying that you Googled why you have 3% on your phone. All right, well, good. I'm glad that you'll be participating. That's awesome. We're going to have a lot of people doing the challenge, and that'll be a lot of fun. It's really great. All right, let's get some the teal up over here on the edge of the flower. And so what I'll do now is I'll switch to a smaller brush to be able to get in and do some of the smaller areas. Let's go in and take this, kind of this little smaller guy here. This is a, let's see, this is a 1/2 inch wash from American Painter, just a little guy. And then, okay, oh, and so Connie, you're saying that you use Langridge Artist Grade Pigment Powder and Pearl X for the metallics. Yeah, oh my gosh, they're very pretty, Connie. And I applaud you for doing that. I don't really know many artists who make their own paint. That's really pretty amazing. Pretty fabulous. So now, what I'd like to do now is let's put in the light areas of the lightest areas of the flower. So I'm gonna mix up using a palette knife here, and I've taken some of the titanium white, and this is our Hansa yellow, and I started to mix this up, but let me get this color all the way here. We've got kind of a really light, super light yellow-white mix. And then now right away I'm gonna wipe my knife off and get it clean, dipping it in the water, and then just wiping it off on some paper towel here. Okay, so let's go in and put in, so we've established some of the dark areas. Let's now go in on our daffodils and put in some of the lighter colors. So just reaching into this lightest color here. I can see that on here we've got quite a bit of light there, and then we have light, let's see here, got light here as well. And then where else do we see it? We've got it up here at the top of the corona, and the corona is this cupped shape. I see a little bit of it there. And then over here on this part of this petal, on the second flower, we see the light color there. It's coming up here. So when I'm doing this, I'm also just kind of lightly blending. And then here is a lot of this light color. So I've got it all the way under here. going to about there. Okay, like right on there. I can see that. You guys are sitting at a little different angle than I am. When I'm working, I'm looking from this direction, and you guys are seeing it with the camera, I guess, from this direction. So it's going to look a little off, but I'm trying to look at the flower and look and see where that light is hitting, and go in and really get a feel for the lights and the darks. All right, so over in here, this color, let's see, we're hitting over here, all along here. I see a line of light color there. I made kind of a hard edge. I'm going to go and soften that right away now by just taking a clean brush and going to back off some of the paint on there. There we go. There. Okay. All right, so let me check the chat, see what you guys are up to here. Okay, so, and I missed, if I will go back and we'll read all of your comments and all of your, all the whole chat later. So if I've missed anybody, or somebody has asked a question, if I didn't answer your question or didn't respond to you, please write it again. And if not, if you're just saying hello and that kind of thing, if I've missed you, I apologize. So, oh yeah, Artsy, I'm hoping that the Green Gold Challenge will be a yearly thing. And I'm really hoping, because so far we have over 40 people who are going to participate. And I'm hoping that we'll have, even more than that. So the more that we have, it's a great way to meet other artists. It's a great way to meet other YouTubers and grow your channel, that type of thing. So, or if you're doing it on Instagram, wherever you're doing it. I did check before, and nobody is using those, that hashtag, Green Gold Challenge, all one word, GREENGOLDCHALLENGE. Nobody's using that, so it would be great if we can get a lot of people participating. Okay, and so let me see here. And then Connie. Oh, and Connie, you've been working with acrylics. That's awesome. And thank you. And you guys should definitely check out, if you haven't already, if you aren't already, subscribe to Chrissy Canvas Art. Chrissy does these great, twice a week she does live streams, and they're always a lot of fun. And I inadvertently called someone on the chat. I don't want to relive it, but inadvertently, that just shows like how language is different across different cultures. I had used a word that we use colloquially to mean cute and sweet and fun, and it turns out it actually means something very different in other cultures. So sometimes then we have a lot of fun laughing and joking around, that type of thing. While Chrissy is working, she's working and making her beautiful art. But that was kind of a terrible thing, and I'm still feeling badly about doing that. I had no idea that I was actually calling someone a bad name and didn't even know it. But thankfully, the person it happened to was an extremely nice person. She was understanding, and knowing that I wasn't calling her a bad name on purpose. All right, so what I'm doing now is going in with just some pure titanium white, and then going back over here, and then let me check the chat here. And so, Owen, thank you so much. Connie, thank you, and Sylvia. And Chrissy said you had a sound problem. Oh, you sounded like Barry White. Oh, dear. Oh, my goodness. Oh, and thank you, Chrissy. Yeah, Ian, that's the word I used. Oh, dear. I won't even say the word, but it's like I won't say it again. I won't have that in my vocabulary. But it also is a pastry. And Ian's got it in the chat there, but I won't even speak the word again. Oh, my goodness. It was terrible. And I didn't know why there was such a strong reaction when I said it. in Chrissy's chat. Oh my gosh, I felt just terribly. And then they explained it. It's like, oh no, it means this. It's like, oh no, I didn't know. I had no idea it had this other meaning. And that shows too how colloquialism, how colloquially, you know, because in our community, everybody's like, oh yeah, you know, and then you just say that and it just means like cute or sassy, fun, flirty, cute, sassy, that kind of thing, but not, not the other thing. Oh goodness. All right, so let's get some highlights here, just where we see the light coming in the strongest area. And I see some light here. And there's a line of light that's right over here as well. And then along here, a lot of light is coming in through here. I'm going to get this nice and light. Just going over the original Hansa yellow that we had. And then the Hansa yellow with the white, just to get a soft transition between the lightest areas of the flower and the darkest. And when you paint your daffodils, you'll have a different, you know, everybody's got their own objective. My thought on this is I'm trying to capture I am intrigued, you know, it's whatever intrigues you about the flower when you're painting. I'm intrigued by this idea that there's these cone shapes that protrude out the corona on the flower, and then these 6 petals. I'm intrigued by the idea that they're not just yellow. I'm seeing all these other colors in the flower, and I want to get this thing so everybody, when you paint your own, you're going to have your thing that excites you about the flower and your own way of painting it. And I think that's why everybody's interpretations of things are always, you know, always different or always their own. So I'm going to now take a little, since we're talking about green gold, let me go in here and get, I'm just going to come over the entire stem. Now that we've got the stem in light and the stem in shadow, just go over the entire thing with our green gold. Get a little bit more in here. I'm just putting a very small amount on this little number 10 filbert. And I don't want to obliterate the colors below. This green gold happens to be super transparent, so I can layer this on here and get this other color going. But now let's look at this part of the flower and see, you know, see like what we can do in here. I want to darken some of these passages, so I'll show you. I've got this. Here's a cad orange, and then Indian yellow. And here I've mixed cad orange and Indian yellow together. And okay, so I'm gonna check the chat here. Oh, and Ian, you're saying it's used in that context, but also others. Yes. So Chrissy says Ian's your moderator and winds you up with a blob. Oh yes. The blob. At some point in Chrissy's live streams, at some point Ian wants to interject the idea of the blob, which is always great. Okay, so I feel like I want to get this kind of wonderful orangey color up in here, just where we see the darks and the darkest spots. So we see it here, and then I'll make sure that my edges are soft over here as well. So just going into that Indian yellow and orange combination. Let's get a little bit there, only where we see the dark. So all along the edge of I'm looking here and I'm seeing a dark. So we'll put that here and connect our darks. And through here, there's also a dark passage. In fact, this is dark right here too. And I want to make sure to get my darks dark enough so that the lights stand out. It's, you know, it's a thing in painting when we're working with our paintings and we're thinking about how to show that something is three-dimensional. It's like we almost have to kind of exaggerate it in order for it to be convincing. Exaggerate it a bit. Exaggerate the color a bit. Okay, so on this other flower, I see that color. So this north light is coming in, and so the highlights are going to have a cool color. This light white is cool, and the shadows are going to be warm in color. So that's why I'm using some oranges and that kind of thing. Okay, and then just right in here, we've got dark. And I'm trying to do a job of exploring the darks or talking about the darks here through color, but I don't want to make it too dark because it is a very light flower. I don't want to overpower the yellow, the like delicate yellows that we already have going. So up on here, right underneath, I'll just dip the brush in and then come back. So this whole tube shape, this kind of cone shape. That's all a little bit. Just get a little bit there. And then down in here, we have some dark as well. Okay. All right, so let's check the chat here and say, oh, thank you, Chrissy. Thank you, Sylvia. You guys are so nice. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate your likes, and I appreciate that you're here today. You guys are really nice. You guys are really wonderful. All right, so this color here, I see this as I look through the flower, and I'm just scrubbing with the brush to blend. When I'm looking up in here on this flower on the right, I want to go, and I'm going to now take we'll take a little bit of, this is a primary yellow. I'll come back in here and use primary yellow to bridge the gap between the Indian yellow and the Hansa yellow light, which is our lightest yellow. So I could just blend by getting the paint wet, or I can blend by adding a transitional color, which is what I'll do here. There are two ways to kind of blend. One is mechanically move the paint around to blend and to scrub it in, and the other way would be to add a transitional color or a third color that is bridging the gap between the two, and that's what we've got right here. Then I can come back in and make a little bit more of a nuanced kind of a feeling with that. Let's go with this yellow here and just make this really soft and subtle. On top here, taking that same yellow and let's do that here. I can see that I need to add a little bit of yellow down here. Because it's easy to get too many darks in here. So since this is such a fresh and light yellow color, I want to just really try and preserve that. Let's get a little of the yellow transitioning in between here, like that. And now again, with the stronger yellow up through here. This highlight area, I want to really emphasize this highlight area. I think this is really pretty when the light is coming across and hitting just right there on the flower. Okay, so let's check the chat here. And so Connie, oh, okay, and so thank you, Tiffany. Oh, and Chrissy, thank you for saying that. And Artsy, and you guys, Sylvia, you guys are so nice. Connie, all my best to you and have a good rest. And I hope that you're going to have purple jammies on tonight with your violet purple. That's great. Thank you so much. You guys are great. And they are enormous. Hi, Joy. Good to see you, and thank you. Thank you for being here, Joy. Joy has got the most amazing channel. If you guys, she does these junk journals. Oh my gosh. It's just a treat to watch Joy creating. And Joy's been doing a lot of watercolors lately, which I really am excited to see. It's fantastic. Very nice. Okay, so let's go in with a little bit. I want to maybe just take and I've got this color here, a little bit of purple. Let's take just a tiny amount of purple and yellow ochre together. So you can make a yellow ochre by taking yellow and purple and making that, but I can add a little bit of purple and make it even darker. So there are a couple little spots here. I just want to make just a couple little dark spots here. We've got a dark right in through here and right here. I want to be able to emphasize that. Make it just right in through here. These little kind of areas. I love this area where the petal matches up in there. I'm seeing little tiny shadows. And I want to get that in my painting. So since the flower is predominantly yellow, I know that I can use yellow ochre and purple, because purple is the opposite of yellow on the color wheel. I know that I can use and explain a dark area on the flower. I can explain that using the opposite of that flower on the color wheel. You can always use the opposite of whatever thing you're painting to describe a shadow. Okay, so let's say I'm going to check the chat. And Joy is saying hi to everybody. And yeah, Joy is just amazing. All right, so now let's go in and can further just define this guy a little bit more with the dark. And when you're doing your own flowers, you know, you can decide how much shading or how little shading you want to include. I like to try and have it be kind of a dramatic shading if possible. I like when there's a lot of get some marks in there. Okay. All right, now what I'd like to do is take this purple and here's the dioxazine purple. Let me see if I got it right there. Yep, there we go. I'll take a little bit of this purple and just run when I'm looking at the stem and I'm looking back here, I can see that it is extremely dark right in the very center. So the edges, I'm seeing a reflected, there's the highlight where the light is coming in through here, and then in the very center of the stem is a core of darkness. That sounds terrible, a core of darkness. There's this very, very dark bit that is in the center of the stem. And the stem has got, when you of course, make your own painting, you'll decide how many details you either put in or leave out. I like to make my work fairly abstracted, meaning I don't have usually a lot of detail in it. But I want to include that core. And then working from here, a person you can always do a little bit more green gold. A person can always do more or less detail, depending on what you like, what you want to say, personally what you want to say with your art. And now I'm using the green gold, like that, okay? And I'll go now and address the edge. Let me get a clean paintbrush. So I'll just use this little short guy here. What do we call him? He's a chisel blender. I'd like to make sure that this edge between where the dark hits, and I want to make it look like the flower is sitting and covering over the stem. So right now I've got paint right up on this edge, and I'll need to come in with some white. So I'll take just a small amount of titanium white right up along here, and make sure that that has a nice edge in through there. And then come back into some of these with this little chisel blender and restate some of these highlights. So when you're working with white, especially, putting on sometimes multiple layers is helpful because the white is pretty opaque. However, the more and more colors it's not totally opaque. The more coats you put on, the brighter you can make that effect. So let's take a little bit more white here on this part of the flower, right where that light's coming. All right. So I'm going to let that white just dry slightly, and then we'll come back over with our Hansa yellow and just do a slight blending between the two. So I'll just let that dry slightly and then come back in, and I can also go in with a small brush. I'm going to guess this is a little filbert. Actually, that's not the right brush. Let's go with a little, another small little guy. Another chisel blender. So we work with a large brush. We started out with these, whoops, he's in the water here. Started out with this 1-inch brush everywhere, and then now we go and work with the smaller ones. There was a wonderful painter, Helen Van Wyck, that my mother and I always liked to read her books, but she would talk about how you begin with a brush, or begin with a broom and you end with a little brush. So you begin your paintings with your larger brushes, and then add your details or finesse your edges, that type of thing, with something small. All right. So now this yellow should have, or the white should have dried a little bit. I can come back over with the Hansa yellow and just again a clean brush. This is a 1/2-inch brush, a wash size, and coming into just the pure Hansa yellow, which is a really transparent and light color. And I can go in and just scrub that color over. But the purpose of doing that with the white first was to make this so it's going to really read as light and bright. So I can go back and just address some of these super light areas, and it's a layering. So here we did the mix of Hansa yellow, white, and titanium, but it gives a different effect when you layer Hansa yellow hue, or is it Hansa yellow? What is this thing here? Oh, Hansa yellow light, this guy. When you layer it over, it gives a different effect. Yeah, Sylvia, using the other color is a super easy way to, using the opposite color of whatever it is you're painting is an easy way to know what color to use when you're going to be doing like a shadow or a blending kind of a thing. So, all right, so what I'll do now is grab my liner brush. So this is a little liner brush, this little short guy here, American Painter liner. It's a size 1. And let me get just a clean bucket of water and go into, this is the black, acrylic black, and I'm dipped it in the water, and then I'm just mixing it around to make it kind of inky. So this black is very thick, but if I mix it with the water, I can make it very inky and easy to spread. And I'll go ahead and sign here. Well, and I really appreciate that you guys are here, and it's wonderful to have you here, and what a wonderful and great community of artists you guys are, and art appreciators, and you guys are really great. And yes, I am going to do Daubism on this, Chrissy. This will be, I'll do another live stream, and then cover this in my signature Daubism texture. But yeah, so I'm going to call this an underpainting for that. If I wanted to take this and turn this into a final and finished painting, then what I would do, see, this is at the point now where I can do Daubism on it, because I can know where all the colors are going to go. If I was going to go in and make this as a completed painting, I either could leave it here in this stage that it is, just kind of an open and expressive feeling, or I could go in and put a lot of, a ton of detail, like describe all of these little edges here and put lines in and do that kind of thing. But this is what I want to have just for the underpainting. So, all right. Well, I want to thank you guys for joining me, and I appreciate that here. So I hope to see you again. And until next time, this is Dena Tollefson, and bye-bye. Take care.